Hi, my name's Amanda Charlton. I'm an anatomical pathologist, and today I'm sharing a new online library of over 1,000 educational surgical pathology and virtual microscopy cases. Educational slide collections are the backbone of both registrar and continuing medical education in pathology. We've all used glass slide collections. Who has boxes of workshop slides languishing and fading in the back of cupboards? I know I do. DVDs of virtual slides, such as the QAP cases or the IAP Companion Club, allow us to have a permanent non-fading record, but again the discs also languish at the back of my cupboard. When I reflected on why I really use them, it's because when I need to pattern match a particular diagnosis, it's much quicker to look at online images or in a textbook atlas because the cases are indexed and searchable. And now we've evolved to the subject of this presentation, which is an online library. Because the collection is indexed, searchable, permanent, and open to all members, these are features of a library. Many registrars have told me, particularly at exam preparation workshops, that we need to practice navigating and reporting digital slides for the small biopsy exams. And the RCPA education survey, which we all got the opportunity to comment on, documented a demand by both fellows and registrars for more online educational resources, particularly digital slides and workshops. So I know you can find anything on the internet, including online virtual microscopy slides, repositories as demonstrated by Dr. Eric Glassy in the digital pathology workshop yesterday. These often are indexed by diagnosis only, which is fine if you are searching for a particular diagnosis, but many cases don't have any clinical information, such as age, gender, or site, so you can't use this collection to test yourself. What online slide libraries are already available on our RCPA website? Well, there is a library structure called ecases, and it's found underneath the library tab. And last year there were 300 forensic cases contributed by Clive Cook from WA and hundreds of haematology cases, but only a handful of surgical pathology cases which were contributed by the Victorian Anatomical Pathology Network. So although the RCPA website has the structure of a virtual library, the surgical pathology shelves are practically empty. Of course, in AP, we have been using digital slides for surgical pathology cases for the QAP for many, many years. And although the current open modules are available to view online via the QAP website, once the module is closed, the online case is no longer available. How many registrars in the room have used QAP DVDs to study digital cases from? You would think this would be a great idea. Say I'm a registrar who wants to study skin this week. First, I have to find the single physical dermatology module copy in my lab. My experience is the DVDs are often haphazardly filed. Here in Auckland, the current year is stored on top of a bookcase in the hallway, precariously stacked. I'm not sure where the previous year's dermatology modules are. In Sydney, we kept them in boxes in this dark storeroom due to space limitations. Often, the diagnosis sheet is not filed with a physical DVD. If I do happen to find the DVD and the diagnosis sheet, I can't use my laptop computer to study from at home or on the train because my laptop has no DVD slot. Say I want to focus on inflammatory skin. I can't filter by process such as non-neoplastic or even by diagnosis. And last year I was at the Children's Hospital at Westmead, which does paediatric pathology, where there was no subscription to the breast, gynae, uropath, neuropath, oral or forensic modules because they were not relevant to the work type. But for me as a registrar, I need exposure to this common adult pathology. So how do I feel? using the QAP DVDs? Typically frustrated and disappointed at the gap between this great digital material and the problems with actually accessing it. Here's another difference between the same cases on DVD and online. DVDs use the RCPA ImageScope software, which has to be installed on the computer. The online QAP cases use the collate web viewer, and from 2008, the small biopsy exams will also use the collate web viewer. The navigation controls are different, and if you want to become proficient, you should use the same slide viewer. So I think you can agree we can solve these problems of accessibility, searchability, and integrated diagnosis and consistent software viewer by converting the DVDs to an online library. So the aim of this project was to use the archived anatomical pathology QAP case material to populate an existing ecases library and thereby filling the empty surgical pathology shelves. From 2008 to 2015, there are 1,000 QAP anatomic pathology cases occupying 3 terabytes of information. How did we create this library? The answer is, with the help from a lot of people. It was a collaborative project between 10 QAP staff, 11 RCPA staff, 10 voluntary RCPA trainees, 14 current QAP conveners, and 63 past QAP conveners from 2008 to 2015. I can see many of you right now in the room, and this project has happened because of you. It's been funded by a project grant from the Specialist Training Program from the Australian Government. Most of the grant was needed to host the digital slides and to pay the data entry operators. So, how many pre-exam trainees are there in the room? This section is for you. Let's say I'm a registrar. Like any library or textbook, you can search the shelves by organ system. Let's try breast, but instead of putting breast into the search box, which will bring up the text word breast anywhere in the case, let's be more specific. Use the More button to toggle, which brings up the additional filters. You can see body system, select breast. Let's be more specific and select a process, which is kept under the topic menu. I'm selecting neoplastic, and then hit the search ecases button. So here we have search by anatomical, neoplastic, and breast. And when we scroll to the bottom of the page, we can see 14 pages of neoplastic breast cases, which is around 200 cases. What a great study set. I can search for a particular diagnostic entity, something a bit rare, say. I want to do a pattern match for classic histologic features, and here I'm looking at a myxopapillary ependymoma. I can review the morphology here. And because these are QAP cases, the accuracy of the diagnosis has been peer-reviewed by hundreds of QAP participants as well as the contributor. These QAP cases are selected to be either common, classical, or critical, which is relevant to me as a registrar and as a working pathologist. How many fellows in the room who teach registrars with lectures or glass slide workshops? Well, this is for you and me. First, let's address copyright issues. The copyright statement for the QAP cases allows copying and sharing for educational purposes such as lectures and workshops, which is unlike textbooks or journal articles and many online images where you need written permission from the publisher or author, and there's often a fee for reuse. The purpose of the RCPA and the QAP is to support pathology education. The QAP cases were altruistically donated by our RCPA members for the purposes of quality assurance and for education. This copyright enables educational sharing and is in keeping with the spirit of the educational purpose of both institutions and with the purpose of the donated material. Here are some examples of the use of ecases in teaching. A couple of months ago, a microbiology fellow asked me for an image of a granuloma that they could use for medical student teaching. And because all lectures are recorded, the images must be free of copyright restrictions, unlike Google images. So instead of searching the laboratory information system and retrieving a glass slide and photographing it, I simply search ecases for granuloma. And the first hit is this case of pulmonary TB. It's got classic granulomas. It took about 30 seconds to find, and it's okay to reproduce and share for educational purposes, remembering to acknowledge the source. So I can take a photograph with the snapshot button and insert it directly into a PowerPoint slide. I've acknowledged the source, and I've even provided a link to the virtual slide, which of course you have to be a member of the college to look at. So it's good for pathology registrars. It's okay to reproduce, display and share for educational purposes. So the copyright statement allows me to do this. How many of you have given a lecture? Everybody, right? You need pictures. In this placenta lecture, I wanted to illustrate the correct way to make a membrane roll, starting with the point of rupture in the center, and then with the amnion on the inside, and ending with the marginal placenta on the outside of the roll. So instead of searching through slide trays to find a perfect roll, and photographing at multiple objectives, including the whole slide, which you can't do on a microscope camera, I just took screen clippings from this online e-case, which is at least 10 times faster, and acknowledge the source by pasting the URL into the bottom of the slide. Now pathology registrars can click the URL in the digital handout and examine the slide themselves, thereby making the information transfer more active and participatory on the part of the registrar. You and I are allowed to copy and share and distribute these cases for educational purposes. In everyday life, what's best for learning histology? Looking at still photos? No, we look down the multi-header together and discuss what we see. You can create a virtual multi-header experience by demonstrating on the live link to virtual slides, where you can address questions from the audience by navigating to the exact area in the slide. Or if the internet connection is uncertain in your lecture venue, then you can create a virtual multi-header experience on a screen recording, such as this example. And here I'm showing the low and the high power features of maternal vascular malperfusion, including here terminal villus hypoplasia. And I made this recording using free third-party software, and if you are interested, you can ask me afterwards, and I can share some online training resources that I have made. So who has made workshops for teaching registrars? Quite a few. I've used glass slides or scanned slides on DVD in the past, but now I will show you how I created a workshop using online virtual e-cases and an Excel spreadsheet. It's free, fast, and easier to assemble, and there is a permanent resource for the learners. I'm swapping roles. I'm the registrar, and I've received this spreadsheet by email. The virtual slides in the slide tray are represented by the thumbnail, and by clicking the image, this takes me to the slide viewing window, and I can pan and zoom in the usual way. I cannot see the diagnosis or the case metadata. Now I will share my role as the workshop creator. For those fellows who organise slide workshops, this is for you. So in this example, I have collated a placenta workshop. In the Registrars view, there's no diagnosis. But first I create the teacher notes version with the extra columns down here for the diagnosis and case links and additional references. Then the version sent to the Registrars simply has the diagnosis and case links columns deleted. First go to the RCPA website and log in. Go to the ecases library, ecases, scroll down the page to the AP tab and click the plus. This brings up the landing page of unsorted ecases. There are more than 1,000. So for this placenta workshop, I put the placenta into the search bar, and scrolling to the bottom there are 3 pages of cases, and each page has 14 cases. Case number 2 I've already selected as this case here, number 253. Here is the clinical information which I copy and paste into the spreadsheet. Copy here, go to the spreadsheet, click on the box and paste it into the function bar. Next I create the thumbnail. Go back to the eCase. Now I want some macroscopic description. Back in the eCase, I open up the Show All tab, copy the relevant data into the workshop spreadsheet, and paste it up here into the history box. Next I create a thumbnail. So go to the virtual slide, and I'm going to navigate to an area that I think is suitable. Go back to the Excel spreadsheet, insert, screenshot, scroll down, insert screen clipping. This takes you back to the other open window, and then select a relevant area, and it's automatically inserted into the Excel spreadsheet. Just reformat that to the correct size. And now I want to make this a live hyperlink. Insert, link, and paste into the address bar. Copy the URL of the virtual slide and paste it here. So the image is now linked to this URL address. I've pasted in the diagnosis and pasted in the live link. In the case discussions, the participant can see all of the notes, the discussions, the references for learning support information. I don't need to recreate anything at all. I just put the link. And I've created another box here called additional references. To check the slide works, I just click on the slide. It takes me directly to the virtual slide. And the same, I click on the hyperlink and it takes me through the college website to the actual case where there's the complete case discussion with references. Now there are 3 tips I'd like to share. First is the watch list button, which functions as a save to favorites. This case is a placenta for my placenta workshop, so I've added it to my watch list. How do I retrieve it from the watch list? Go up here to the Your Name button and scroll down, and you can see my watch list. You can see all of the placenta cases that I've selected for my workshop. The second tip is to write your notes here section, where the notes can only be seen by yourself because you're logged in as yourself. Here I've written a note to myself, placenta workshop. the course, the year, and the case number. The third tip to share is at the bottom. There's a comments box. This is where you can send feedback to the RCPA, such as a broken link to a virtual slide, an error in the case, or suggestions for improvements. The comments are collated by George, the website administrator at the RCPA. So by now you should understand the uses and advantages of using ecases for both teaching and for learning, namely save time and get proficient. Because all of us in this room are involved in teaching or learning in some way, I encourage you to be aware of and share online free resources such as this. Nobody involved in teaching and learning wants to miss out on this opportunity. 10 years ago, in 2006, leading medical educator Professor Ron Harding wrote in a paper on future trends in medical education, "We as medical educators need to avoid a growing gap between what is possible in education and what is delivered." I believe by embracing these new paradigms and applying new technology in postgraduate medical education, such as this online digital library of cases, we embrace the modern direction of education. Other concepts embodied by online cases is the sharing of resources rather than owning them, which is really back to the concept of a lending library of virtual or online books. The third point is giving the learner control to create a personalized, student-driven learning experience. And the fourth point is training the teachers to use online resources, which I hope I have demonstrated by showing you how to make a virtual slide workshop. So I'm coming up on the end of this talk. Now I invite you to take your colleagues and visit the accompanying poster in the Roche display, where there are QR codes that you can scan with your mobile phone camera to take you directly to the web pages and videos in this lecture. I'd like to thank all of you who contributed to this project, many of you who are here in this room today. This was really a team effort, and it would not have been possible without you. Thank you.